Tell people the name of your company, how the name of that company started, from your investment strategies, and kind of what you're doing this for.
Yeah. Name of the company is 10 by 30 Estates PLLC. P for professional limited liability company. I don't know, the P is not really important, but it was there at the time. What 10 by 30 means is really me trying to accumulate 10 properties by the age of 30.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Happy Agent Podcast. Jeff Beggins here, hosting with you with a couple of my co-hosts, my brother.
Greg Beggins here. Hi, guys.
And Mike Puma. The office over there.
He is. He's got a nice view down there.
And Mike Puma wearing his BE3 garb over there. Right. And we've got a really unique podcast for you today with Martin Demosky. And he is from our Sarasota offices, Longboat Key offices. And he's got a whole different background. And with his family background, growing up, not in the U.S., very early age, grew up here. So, Martin, kind of bring us through your background, your story, kind of where you came from, and it's great because you were able to start in real estate as early as they allowed you to start in real estate, and kind of what's happening there. So let's kind of turn it over to you. Let's get started over there.
All right. Well, I started off, as a baby coming from Macedonia. I was brought up in New Jersey, year-old when I came to the States, and lived up, North South Jersey for up to a couple of years, and then went back to Macedonia for high school. I got the opportunity, actually, was lucky enough. My parents granted me that, a vacation. Who really lives alone during high school? But I got to experience that, and after high school, my parents, after the crash, came down to Florida. They are in the real estate business themselves, and they just, were here for a little bit after the crash, like I said, and I had moved in to one of their apartments to start my, ventures down here.
Did you have dual citizenship?
I do.
You do? Okay, cool. So that's how you're able to go back there and take advantage of that.
How was that? It was amazing. I mean, it's very different. The culture, the mentality, the different things to experience and do, and, different rules and regulations. So personally, it was a great experience, very different, but I'm happy to be back in the U.S. and, somewhere where you can make the real money. So
hold on a second, because I need to clarify this. So in high school, you lived on your own?
Yeah. Well, I can say my sophomore year, I lived alone. I didn't really live alone with my godfather. And then my junior and senior year, I did live alone, paid my own bills in high school. I was making, I guess, $300-400 a month from my parents to live, to buy food and stuff and get to school and whatnot. But otherwise, yeah, totally alone.
I don't think I would have ever gone to class ever if I lived by myself during high school. Like, it never would have happened.
Yeah, and you're right. I did have a lot of missed attendances during class time.
It's that lack of accountability that starts creeping into your head.
Alarm clock. My phone died the night before.
Exactly. All right.
So just for curiosity's sake, because what would you say the major difference is from Macedonia to the U.S.? How would you classify it if you just had to simplify it into one big difference?
Well, one big difference is the size of everything. Just the size of everything. You walk into a Walmart here, you don't see anything as big as a Walmart there. You drive 4-lane streets here in Bradenton. Over there, it's, you can hardly cross each other on the road. So very different. Just definitely in regards to big things versus little things.
Yes, and thinking too, because I think what we were talking about earlier is you came and you've been fortunate to be growing up with entrepreneurial background with your family, and so you've seen what it takes, the hard work and the goods, the bads, the uglies, the screwing up deals, losing money, making money, having bad things happen. It's part of life, but you've been able to see that. So I think you had a pre-taste of that. So,
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
So you're the U.S. baller hanging out by himself, big pimping in Macedonia in your own private apartment. And then graduation comes, you're done. You're heading back. Parents are now back in the States.
Yep.
And so now you fly back over. What's life now like?
You got a real estate license at age 18?
Yeah, right away I got the real estate license. I mean, not right away, quite a couple jobs before that, but my dad introduced me to real estate, really saying how, he had friends in the business that made an awesome killing. And that's, my drive was money from the start, and that it drove me to get my real estate license. Honestly, it was, not just the money. I mean, the flexibility, all of it, all the above, all the above that you don't have with any other job. So that's what drove that.
So now you're in your old crusty age of 23, and right. So, yeah. And Craig, we were just going through some stats. Let's just fast forward to the production that he's done already, and this is just halfway through the year.
During the pandemic.
During the pandemic.
24 open contracts, 11 pendings, and 12 closings so far.
And we got him mobile today because he's going to go check out the second property that he just bought. And so it's pretty interesting because this is a really great testimonial to having goals, working your butt off because you work your butt off, but you have a reason why. Right. And I think it's kind of cool on this. And tell people the name of your company, how the name of that company started from your investment strategies and kind of what you're doing this for.
Yeah. Name of the company is 10 by 30 Estates PLLC, P for professional limited liability company. I don't know, the P is not really important, but it was there at the time. What 10 by 30 means is really me trying to accumulate 10 properties by the age of 30. For future financial freedom, and
so what's your criteria? You want each property to throw off $300, $400, $500 a month or more?
To make off them? My, if I do end up making or drawing, a clean slate between what the tenant pays and the mortgage and the other stuff, liabilities within the property, I'd say, personally, if I'm making 100 to 200, I'll be fine as long as I'm not the one paying the mortgage, as long as someone else is covering that. I see it where, when you get a $20,000 check in a day, it's a lot better than, $20,000 a year,
yeah.
And how I see it is, if you were going to pay off a $300,000 house, and you weren't paying it off, in 3 years, you can sell it and you can make whatever you've paid off. Well, whatever someone else has paid off, if you needed that liquidity, or whatever, however. So I'm flexible. I mean, as long as I have someone paying my mortgage and I'm not, it's not my liability, that's the main goal. And that's where those numbers will show for me in the future.
Yeah. So this is interesting to me though, because financial freedom, just what's the definition of that to you? Because everyone's got a kind of a different one. What does that mean to you?
Well, lots of paid off assets that bring money.
Okay. So paid off assets that bring you in money. So debt free.
Debt free. Right? Yeah.
Or not really debt free, but burden free. Because it's okay to have debt. Debt's not bad as long as somebody else is paying it for you.
Exactly.
Right? So you don't want to be encumbered by things. You want to make sure other people are paying that. Because the reality of it is, Craig, we talk about this all the time. The game is how much money does it cost you to live right now? So your lifestyle at 23 is, as fun as it is probably the smallest nut you're ever going to have in your life, right? As far as what it costs you to live. So ballpark, if you don't mind sharing that, what does it cost you on a monthly basis with your car, with your insurance, with your gas, with your rent, with your food, with going out, with some entertainment? Like, what's your normal monthly nut?
Monthly out, obviously I'm only 23. I haven't gotten to see that fluctuate a lot, but with business expenses and mostly focusing on business expenses to grow the business, I do reach from $8,000 to $10,000 a month that I spend totally on everything.
Perfect. Right. And that's a great thing. Well, I'm very glad you know that, because a lot of people, it takes a lot longer to come up with that answer. So for you, 11,000 a month is positive, right? So as long as you're bringing in the 10, you're covered your business expense. Now that goes into how you're marketing your business, which we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But that's all in. So financial freedom to you is 11 grand, right? Because then your 10's covered, and then you have a little extra. So that's the interesting part. And then as you're building these inventories in this rental income property, and I think you told us a goal earlier, what you wanted to have free cash flow a monthly basis is a pretty cool amount.
Yeah.
20 grand a month. So his vision board right now at his age of 23 is he envisions his life with everything paid for, but still 20 grand a month coming in through into his bank account, which gives you a lot of flexibility and freedom to hit some of your passions, which I think is pretty cool. One of the ones that you're doing, you're talking about how you just got some lessons for something fun to follow your passion. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I've always loved airplanes. As a kid, my room was airplanes only. That's all I would listen to, watch, play is airplanes. So my parents never really engaged me into lessons or anything like that. They never thought it was something that I should do. But following my hobby dream, I am starting to take lessons and fly different kind of little single prop engine airplanes. And living up to my dream. It's just something I love to do, and it's so much fun being able to pay for it myself and do it as much as I want.
I love it. Do you one day want to have your own, or are you happy to try to?
Oh, absolutely. Just like a house, a little Cessna's a goal. And if you guys didn't know, and if you were into airplanes, a lot of these smaller businesses that do offer lessons will take in your airplane to fly it around with other people. So again, that's another asset in the future. If you can pay it off that way, why not? So yeah,
that's smart. So let's talk about, I love the foundation. You have the goals and you've got the work ethic, you have the drive, you have the background, you have some DNA, which are all amazing things to stock on your asset sheet to go forward. How are you building your business? So for those who are watching, we have people watching literally from all over the world in this podcast, which is fantastic. And people in different stages. So you're 23, which a lot of people say you got this young punk, right, doing this stuff. But you're serious about this business, and you've got an unbelievable amount of production. How are you getting your business? It's not from being in business forever. You don't have a huge sphere. You haven't been doing this for long enough to have a ton of repeating business. So you got to hustle.
Yeah, I do hustle. I do a lot of side work. My own work, my own stuff that I think will make me grow. Really just focusing on acquiring the most clients that I can any way possible is one thing I really focus on, because the more people I know, the more people share my information with others that they know. So that's one thing. Another big thing with my business is following up. I don't hesitate to ever follow up, even if it's a week after closing, 2 weeks after closing, always following up on any given holiday, even if it's a Sunday and I'm happy, I'll follow up with my entire text list, and that's something that's really brought me to where I am, is my follow up. Not only is it acquiring those clients, but when I acquire them, I put them into different kind of, I should say, folders, and where they're getting emails and texts from me and follow-up calls and stuff like that I truly do. And like the other day, I have my place that I'm moving out of for rent, and I had a lady come by. She's not going to rent it, but we kicked off great, and I followed up with her the next day, and I gave her a present, and ends up she already sent me 3 people that are moving down from New York that are her friends that need a place in the next 6 months. So just really giving my all to people and trying to take their trust in a way, is the most important thing.
Well, I'll give you credit, because I get emails from you all the time. Every time you get a new listing, I see it in my email. Every time there's a holiday, I get something from you. You're really good at it. You've kept it going for a long time.
Yeah, that's really helped me a lot.
I do as well. It's one thing I was talking to Jeff about before we had you on. I said, he's probably the best I've seen in our company at consistent touch points, You know, whether, and what I like about it is when it's consistent, it doesn't come across as salesy. You know, 99% of the stuff I get from you is just content based, right? Which is something I preach to all 400 agents, yet I have about 5 that do it, and you're one of them, who actually do the proper drip campaigns, who are pushing out content, who are just delivering value. And when you do that on a consistent basis, it's just you, right? It's just another email from Martin. Got it. And you're just constantly top of mind.
Oh, I meant to talk to him about something.
Yeah, it just, you know, just that, oh yeah, I meant to email him, and boom, now it's that contact. So, you know, everyone's life is busy, and that's one thing I've noticed for sure that you've executed on extremely well are those drip campaigns and just the touch points and constantly staying top of mind.
It's been a blessing with that stuff.
And then, well, I think what I really like is that you realize that this business is just about talking with people, and you'll take anything. If you look at the listings that you have, and I mean this in the best way, you're here to help people, and you're here and you understand the lifetime value of a customer is $130,000 bucks. So I don't care if it's a $110,000 beater, right? You're taking it and you're treating it just like it's a $20 million beach house and longboat, right? You're doing it. And that's what really, really is making a huge impact for you, because you're giving everybody the ultimate level of trust and care, and you're treating everybody like they're golden. And a lot of people don't do that.
There's a saying, we had an agent tell me once, she says, she worked in the lower price ranges over in St. Pete. She says, Craig, the secret to my success is I made a lot of people wealthy and they took me with them. And I said, what does that mean? She said, well, I sold them a house for $85,000. And they lived there for 5 years, and they sold it for $150,000. And they bought it $230,000. And they lived there for a few years, and they sold the $230,000 for $280,000, and then they bought it $350,000. So awesome. That cycle of business. Isn't that a great story? I made a lot of people wealthy, and they took me with them.
Here's the punchline though of this for me that I hope viewers take away from Martin and from this podcast is Martin has a clear goal, right? He has this goal of, hey, I want to create this level of income because it's going to allow me to do these things, right? And then he's aligned his business with those goals, right? Because to your point, Jeff, he's taking everything, right? Now, we could argue, and there are some agents that have been really successful or have really nice businesses that say, you know what, I only take these. I only do high-end listings on the beach, and I don't touch anything else, right? And it's not that this is right or wrong. That works too, but depends on your goal. If you only want to do a few transactions, you can be very, very set and particular. If you have bigger ambitions about how much level of income and how much, you know, how you're trying to grow your business. And he said earlier, I want it to get as many clients under my belt as possible so I can live off that referral business. Then he has to take everything.
Well, right? 24 deals in the first 6 months. That's pretty damn, it's tracking 48.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? But that's not for everyone. So my point is, if you're watching, the key here that the reason Martin has been so successful, the reason he has 24 deals is because he's very clear on what he wants to get out of it. I want to do these number of deals so I can produce this level of income, so I can go do flying lessons, so that I can acquire 10 properties, and so that I can have 20,000 of clear cash flow. That's very, very persistent, consistent, clear what I want to have happen, right? And then when I know that, now I can go out and build a business that's going to allow those things to happen. And that's exactly what he's done. So it's very important that if you're watching this, you just need to get very clear on what you want to have happen, and then make sure that you're building a business that aligns with that. And he's done an extremely good job of that.
What I think is pretty interesting here is that it's, you know, we always say this game is easy, right? It's the simplest game in the world. All you need to do is figure out what you want. And then we joke around and say, fuck how, right? And it doesn't matter how the business is going to come to you, because it really doesn't. You just know that I know for sure you're going to have $20,000 of free cash flow rolling in. You're going to have 10 properties. You're going to have more than 10 properties by the time you're 30. You're only 23 now, and you're crushing it, right? But so that's going to happen, but you don't even have to worry about it, because you're up every day talking with people, and you don't select who you're talking with. You're here to help. You're here to serve. You've got that mentality, and the money's just going to flow, but it's going to flow to you to that level that you want. Now, I mean, let's take this with a grain of
you
salt.
weren't clear on what you wanted. The flow would be there, but it would be less.
Correct. And if your flow, once you get to 20 grand a month and you say, I want 40, that's going to flow to 40. But it's the funny little thing about this little universal secret power thing. Whatever you get committed to actually wanting to happen, it just happens, right? If you work every day and if you treat people well, right? That's kind of the universal world. That's it. So we were talking, let's do a little spitfire from 24 deals. Rattle off some of the sources of business that have worked for you so far. There's just this year alone. Like, where do they come from?
You know, like I said before, doing things, you know, apart from what Century 21 Beggins does for the agents and the lead sources, you know, online leads, you know, stuff like that is big. Not so big, but you know, it's another source of clientele. Past clients have been awesome because I was able to provide awesome service. People reach out to me all the time. Actually, most of my deals this year have been past clients, and I've had a couple of deals this year where people were selling and buying again. You know, upsize, downsize stuff. My farm's another one that I've gotten listings out of. I've gotten to know other people out of my farm that aren't selling, but share other information with me that helps me grow my business. And, you know, other things out there, like just trying to meet other people and honestly, just provide the best service. Like you guys said, is the biggest thing. And just the trust part of it is everything in real estate. So it's gotten me a lot of clients. You know, when you go out and show one house from a Zillow client, and they expect you to be that one agent that doesn't really care. But when you do step down and put your foot and talk to them about everything that can help them get the house or whatever house is out there, you know, it really helps. So
it does. And I know we talked earlier, we got just listed calls and flyers. You've got just listed mailings. You got just sold mailings. You got flyers and farm mailings that are going out there. You're banging on FSBO doors. You're calling for by owners, expires. You got some investors. That's what I love about this is you're casting your net out. And we always say everything works, and it does. But your business model right now is not to niche down. Yours is to niche out, right? Because you just want a broad ass band. You've got time. You don't have a lot of time constraints now. You could do whatever you want. You can work as early as you want to and as late as you want to. Right? You have the family thing going at the moment, so you've got a lot of flexibility with your time to do what you want to do. And then when you're not working, you can jump on the airplane and schedule your trip and have the cash flow. So it's a nice lifestyle, but it's by design. It's by design. So I think it's great. Plus, you've got the ability to reach out to a lot of people all over the world. We got what, Bulgarian, or what other language are you speaking?
Bulgarian, Serbian, Croatian, Macedonian.
Right. And you can get in enough trouble speaking Spanish to get yourself a drinking.
I could speak Spanish. Shy away from I forgot a lot. So.
Which, you know, guys, that just adds more credibility because it shows a drive. You didn't have to learn all of these languages. You did, right? And that just shows you don't have to learn about as much real estate, but you do, right? You don't have to try all the different sources, but you do, right? It's just a testament to how you're willing to keep bettering yourself and getting better and growing and just serving a little bit more. So,
absolutely.
And it's great. So from a social media perspective, Mike, you touched on it a little bit. Dig a little bit deeper as to how are you scaling yourself and your reach out through social? What do you find? What's kind of your strategy, and how's that working for you right now?
Social media is something I have to work more on. You know, just have a more presence of. I don't think that I really dedicate much time to it, except for my Facebook business page or my Instagram business page that don't bring me any clients, but just keep my clients and past clients a part of my life, I guess, which is a great thing. You know, everyone comments, everyone loves to text me and you know, touch base and ask for a lunch or a dinner or whatever. But social media, haven't been present on it. All I do is really my just listed, just solds, and not really any kind of true videos or anything like that. I've had past tries here and there, but just been too busy really with business and haven't had the chance to expand that branch.
So, and I'm glad I appreciate the honesty on that part, because the other things are working very well for you. But what he's doing is still putting all of his just listed and just solds. Guys, that's 15 listings, 24 sales, right? 11 pendings and 12 closings going on there. And that's a lot of activity to post down. So you may not think that that's that relevant, but when people do see you and they refer to you and they say, hey, call my friend Martin, and they just hit you up on Facebook or Instagram and see what you're doing, you're relevant, you're real, you're professional, and you're productive, right? So you're pre-selling yourself by doing that. So don't sell it short that you don't have a major campaign going. Your campaign is just equaling real estate. So when they think about you, real estate is something that's really popping up in your mind there.
And here's why that strategy works, though, right? And this is something that I think a lot of people really struggle with. Is I was having a conversation with an agent yesterday, and she emailed me and she said, hey, I want to start a blog, right? And I've been looking into it. I have a website ready. Should I do this? And I said, well, it's very easy to get a website. It's very easy to either write or have a blog created for you, right? That's the easy part. My question for you is, who's going to go to it? How are you going to drive traffic to it? Because at the end of the day, people have to go see it. Right? And so the same thing with social. If you have social and you're going to rely on social to drive the business, people still have to go to the page. People still have to go to your profile. People still have to go to it, right? You still need to drive traffic. So what Martin has done is said, you know what? I'll have stuff there, but I'm going to go drive traffic by doing things physically, whether it's texting, whether it's calling, whether it's his drip campaign, whether it's just going to a bar and talking to people, whether it's calling investors. He has his game plan, and that ultimately, even though he's probably not viewing it this way, that's his traffic source, right? That's driving traffic in, because now when that investor says, who is this guy? They don't need to go and see Martin's entire life history. What they want to see is he a human being? And then what they're really seeing when they go there is, oh, wow, he's got a lot of pending business, or he's got a lot of just recently sold business. All right. It validates his expertise in the market.
Resume.
Right. And so it's his resume. And so that strategy works. Now, that strategy wouldn't work if Martin wasn't doing all the other things and then was like, well, social doesn't work. Well, yeah, it doesn't work because you're not posting enough content, because that content's what's going to drive the traffic. So ultimately, you have to drive traffic. He's doing that through his other efforts. If you're not doing the other efforts, this strategy won't work. And so that's the biggest disconnect I see in a lot of agents. But if you watch closely, that's why this will work for him, and it'll work for you if you're putting in the work elsewhere.
I also noticed you get a lot of reviews. What's your process for getting reviews from your customers?
First, making sure you want to send them one. No, I'm just kidding. But really just letting them know that it's an important part of my business, and it helps me in the most out of everything, because what they say about me, is something that someone can find out from a third party that doesn't know me. So, sending those out no matter what, no matter if it was a bad deal or a good deal. Just Zillow, and we use Real Satisfied, which is cool. You can send them a coffee afterwards too, and just send them out. That's about it.
That's for them.
Now, let me hit that a little bit from a different angle, Puma, what you were just talking about, because people miss this, I think, way too often. And this business is such a psychological sale, right? People, it's an emotional buy. People like you, and they trust you, and they know you're good at what you do. And the issue is they figure this out in the first 7 seconds, which we really go through a lot inside of our trainings. They know whether or not they like you, trust you, and they feel like they want to do business with you when the first 7 seconds they meet you. They like your hustle. They feel the vibe, and it just happens. So once you do your thing and you start talking with them and they realize that you don't have commission breath, you're not just after the money, you're a business person, you really do care, they like you. They bought you, they emotionally want you as part of this transaction. And so they bought with emotions. But that's not the sale. People buy with emotions and they justify with logic. And the logic is, let me Google this dude. Let me go see if see if I can find him on his Facebook or on his Instagram. Let's see how real he is. Let me go on to Zillow. Let me type into him. Let me Google him, see what's going on. And that's the logic stack that validates their emotional desire to hire you. And what you've done well is when you go, like to Craig's point, you read all your testimonials and your reviews, like, hey, this guy cares. Look at all these people say he cares. He's an awesome guy. We trust him. He's a hard worker. And it's a consistent theme. And then they feel comfortable. Now they see it. They scroll through your feed real quick. They see just listed, just sold, just listed, just sold. Plus they like you. Plus they trust you. Plus you got good reviews. It's a nail in the coffin. It's done. It's over. Yeah. Right. So too many people forget about that part, and they just kind of think that their dazzling salesmanship is going to do it. That's going to do it from the emotional perspective, to think that they want to hire you, but that's not going to get them to sign the contract, because they're going to do that when they're not in front of you. And that's their back end justification to, do I want to follow my instinct, which is to trust this guy? And when the background shows that you should, then you get the information, then you get the text saying, dude, send me the paperwork, we're in. Right.
Love it.
Big difference. Big difference.
Trust.
So for those who are watching this that are not doing 50 deals, because you'll be north of 50 deals this year, which is so commendable, especially during a pandemic shelter in place scenario for the last couple of months here. So for those agents who are watching that aren't doing this one, what's your advice? What are the things, like, what's the X factor? What do you need to do to kick it into gear for yourself?
Big part is trust yourself. Nothing is impossible is what I tell myself all the time. If you got a $5 million listing that you call and someone wants you over, do it. Be yourself. Don't focus on getting the product. Focus on becoming, a friend, becoming someone that they can trust. In a way, is really something that I could share that helps me. And don't ignore your clients.
Answer your phone.
Use them. Give them gifts. Cards, whatever it is. Stay in touch, and spend money for your business. Whatever money you make, make sure there's a percentage that goes towards your business, because if you don't turn that around, it won't turn around for you. And I've seen that a lot, that I do spend money and it doubles when it comes back. So that's probably the biggest part.
All right, that's awesome. And before we turned the camera on for this day, we were talking. I think the biggest thing that I'm impressed of what you learned at 23 is that right now you're trading hours for dollars, right? We talk about this a lot, and we're putting in the hours to get the dollars, but you're doing it to make the dollars go to work. So when you make 20 grand on a deal and you make that a down payment on a duplex, right now that 20 grand is working while you're sleeping, right? Because that's what created that duplex. So that is such a huge point. And I'm very impressed that you've been able to do it at 23. And I hope this serves as an inspiration for everybody who's watching. So the ultimate goal is to not trade your hours for dollars. It's to make your dollars multiply themselves. That doesn't require your hours to make that happen, right? That is the biggest issue on that one. So I love it. I just think it's a great new perspective. Puma, final words?
I hope everyone just takes away from Martin that your ambition has to match your actions. And when those two things align, you're in good shape. When they don't, you're in trouble. And he's proof that when those things align, though, you can really accomplish anything. And 23 years old, 25 deals, 24 deals in 5 months. It's not a common thing that you'll find in this industry. So I hope they take that away.
Yeah, Thanks, Craig and I are trying to find a little cloning machine that we're just going to kind of shove you into. So if you see us showing up with a box, that's what it is. Craig, final words from you.
Final words from me or Craig?
Or Craig first, and then we'll have you wrap it up.
No, I'm super impressed and very thankful you're with the company. You really are. Kathleen loves working with you. I've never had one client complain about him. You're super professional, everything I've been associated with you with. Your future's so bright. I want to help you a little bit more. I want to talk to you about what you're spending, because I want to help you evaluate that a little bit. Because it sounds like you're spending a lot on your business, and let's make sure that's paying you off properly.
Yeah. Well,
Very
thanks.
cool. Well, I can say, if you got anything else to say, I just want to say I think this is really valuable. I think this has a lot of things people need to hear right now, and just kind of give them that little umph to just get that drive, get that goal, and really just go talk to people. Be real. What I love, and Puma and Craig, we see this consistent theme through all the top producers. It's not about the money, man. It's about providing a service and being a trusted friend to guide them through something they're going to do anyway, but they're just thankful at the end that you had their back and held their hand through the process. And the money just flows, and so does their sphere, and their whole world will just keep opening up to you as you do that. So you're a great testament to all that. So proud to have you on the team, Martin.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you, guys.
We'll do. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.
Appreciate it.
And
thanks.
Keep it up. Happy Agent Podcast. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.